Alright everybody, so today I'm gonna hold on, get around in front of the camera. Today I'm gonna attempt to turn something out of a chunk of tree limb that's about 8.5 inches in diameter, and it'll be hopefully somewhere between 4 and 5 inch diameter. A bowl or change plate, something of that nature is kind of what I'm hoping / going for. You never know with wood turning stuff, you know what it becomes, because I mean there's some holes here and there, some knots here and there, and you just, I mean, you often start off with one thing in mind, and it molds and shapes into something totally different from what you thought was going to happen from the get-go. So that's kind of the beauty of it, you know, along with your creativity of your mind, almost in a process. Like your mind's constantly thinking, okay, if I do this, will that look good? Will that work? Will I be able to get it down to this and shape it like that? Or if I do, will it fall apart, or will I run into some nasty imperfections and it not work out that way? So, okay, all of a sudden I've got to change thought process and go in a totally different direction. So that's kind of a beautiful challenge. A lot of people can't do that. I guess I was gifted with that talent, so I suppose I'm very fortunate for that. And this kind of makes it more fun. Doing cabinetry, you know, standard woodworking, where you're constantly making stuff the same, constantly the same measurements, the same cuts. There's some amount of monotony to that, and it can get rather boring. Some people just find it very therapeutic, and you know, the low thought process, and just, you know, just doing the work and using the tools and creating something with more precision. Some people really enjoy that. I like to do that every once in a while, but not all the time. That's where the wood turning comes into play, and can be a lot of joy, a lot of fun, because it creates that challenge and that constant creativity thought process. So this is going to be a gift for somebody, hopefully, if I can get something good out of it. I might spend 3 or 4 hours and end up with a piece of firewood. It sometimes happens. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the process, some little clips here and there, not the whole thing, because I don't think you want to watch 3.5 to 4 hours of wood turning. But yeah, enjoy the show, and let me know what you guys think. Starting to look like a bowl. Yeah, coming along. it's a tough one. I got a little bit of a tear out there, and definitely some knots around the backside, but we smooth all those out as best we can, and should have something quite nice. Yep. Just keep turning, just keep turning, just keep turning, turning, just keep turning. So let's see how we're coming along. Trying to smooth out all these knots. This is going to look really pretty, all that color. It's going to look really pretty once I get a clear coat on it. But I got just a little bit here at the bottom that I've got to knock out. There's a little chip on the wood here that I gotta make that disappear. And then we'll finish out, make sure the inside is exactly how I want. And then we'll take the rough sandpaper to it, and then the fine sandpaper to it, and then we'll be able to take it off and put finishing coats on it. Alright, so how fun is this? It's coming along! So one of the tricky parts here is getting the thickness of the inside of the bowl to match as close as you can to the slope and the degree and thickness from the outside of the bowl. You want consistency throughout the entire depth of the inside of the bowl to be the same thickness all the way from top to bottom of the bowl. And so that's not exactly easy. It takes quite a bit of practice to do that. And of course, it's all freehand, so it's not, laser machined out or anything like you would get at a bowl at a store. So it's not going to be 100% perfect, but we do our best, right? We do our best. So I think I've got it to a point where all I want to do now is just go through my different degrees of sandpaper. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. It's not exactly how I want that part of the edge to be, but and then I'm going to add some decorative bits to it, maybe here and there. And of course, sanding is always a lot more fun and a lot more easier when it's done like this. You just have it right there on the lathe, and the lathe does the work. You just hold the sandpaper, and it does the work for you. So yeah, and get up into the bowl, and smooth all that out. Again, let the lathe do the work. It gets hot. There's a lot of friction there. So I always double the thickness of the sandpaper and kind of go on a little bit on the lower speed setting. This is a variable speed lathe. I can't stand the idea of having one that has the different belts that you have to change the belt on to get a different speed. I like the variable speed. Slow, faster. I wish one day I'll get a bigger lathe. I wish I had a bigger one, but I don't. One day. Kind of need a bigger workshop. Maybe the next house. I do like setting this lathe up on the back deck of my workshop. That way it's outside. All I gotta do to clean up is take the leaf blower, blow it all off, and then pick up the lathe and put it back inside the workshop, just inside the door here. Couldn't do that with a bigger lathe. Bigger lathe, I'd have to put on wheels so I could roll it in and out of the workshop. But yeah, we're getting it there. It's the bowl is just a little bit on the lopsided part. You can kind of see that if you know how a piece of wood is supposed to spin on the lathe. I know you can tell already. So the bowl is just a little bit lopsided on here because I had to make take a chunk of a thick dowel rod and glue it onto the base because the original part of the stump, part of the wood, broke off down at the bottom. So I had to make something work so that I could get it back on here. And so with it being back on here, it's not 100% true, which is what the term that the turners use. When you turn something round on a lathe, first thing you're supposed to do is remove all the bark and then true your blank. Once you have a trued up blank, then you can create your piece. And as you create your piece, you should be able to keep it true. The only time that it's not true is when you have stuff happen and it breaks off, or it goes, piece breaks. The item that you're turning, whatever you're trying to make, goes flying off of the lathe. Sometimes that damages it to the point where you can't. There's no recovery. So I got luckily when this one broke, it just cracked. It just split. It stayed on there, and I immediately killed the lathe, so I could save the piece. But it really does suck when you do 3+ hours into a piece of wood, and then have something go terribly wrong, and you end up with a piece of firewood because there's no recovery, there's no doing anything with it. You just get another piece of wood and start all over again. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how expensive you see when you go to arts and crafts fairs in small towns, festivals and stuff, or you buy, if you buy them online. And these, a small bowl like this, something that ends up with about a 6.5 inch diameter here, it'll sell for like $30, $45 on the cheap. That's on the cheap side. Why? Because somebody spent 6+ hours into making it. 6+ hours worth of work. He's selling something at $45 that you spent 6 hours on. You're not making but $7.50 an hour, right? That's my rant. But I'm just gonna get back to finishing this bowl. It is turning out nice. I'm happy with it so far. Let's hope it just stays all together, right?